Hello everyone and welcome for another video of Love and Wargames. In this video we will cover the city-state Talos, which is sort of a giant like in the fluff. It's a defender of the city-states, which are the Greeks, and it's an artisan série, which means that it's a little bit more expensive. It's supposed to be mostly resin, like fully resin, and it's giant sized. So when you put it on the table, it's supposed to be as tall as the box. I'm barely exaggerating. So we will unbox this massive miniature. Look at this style. When I saw it, I was like, wow. First, when we had the first reveals, I was really interested. There are a few options, few helmets, few poses. We will take a look at this. The unboxing is going to be the first part, but the main part of this is going to be the Tactica, like how to actually play this monster. And what we are going to do now, since they really put the emphasis on First Blood as well, from Parabellum, those that make Conquest, we are going to make two little Tacticas. The main one for the last arguments of kings, because it's what most people play, but we'll make a second part where we'll also talk a little bit about First Blood, and it's going to be a little bit shorter, but like you can actually put this guy in First Blood, and so we'll tell you how to play in First Blood, if it's different, like how it's different from the last arguments of kings. So 3 parts. As always, you have the timestamps at the bottom of the video to go exactly where you want. And without further ado, we are going to open the box. So let's open and see if it's worth the price of 130 euros minus 13 euros because you have 10% with Love 10. So it's going to be something like 11.70. And you have the instructions, of course. Looks quite simple, quite a few options. Okay. Indeed, so you can see all the options. Yeah, okay. Some very cool option there. And okay, it's kind of like what I call premium packaging, like looks like you are buying an iPhone or something, but it's we've seen artisan series before, and yeah, this respects the rule. Okay, the first thing that pops out is the sword. Oh my god, the size of the sword, good lord. Yeah, it's massive. You know what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just show you how many packages there are, and I will open all of those so you can see the miniatures themselves much more easily. Okay, I unboxed a little bit everything, and wow, the quality is insane. We're gonna go one by one. But yeah, 130 euros, 117 with code Love10 is steep, but wow, that is quality. Just to remind, Artisan Série, it's like a little bit like models that are not part of the core roster sometimes, or it's an alternate version, etc. The city-states have their giants, their titans, and we just saw this guy appear out of nowhere. We thought at the beginning that it would be a proxy. No, they gave him actually rules that we'll talk in a second. But wow, like the level of quality of this thing. The first thing I want to say is that there is a scenic base, which is really cool, and it's extremely smooth under. It's very enjoyable to touch. And yeah, you can make him hold here, and he's gonna have his little pose. And we'll show you the legs while we are there. And yeah, probably he's gonna go like this, or yeah, like that. How is he supposed to hold? Yeah, probably like this. And the second leg like this. It's absolutely wrong left and right, but yeah, you can see, you can start to imagine, this is just the legs, and you can start to imagine how tall this guy is gonna be. He's gonna really be like like this. Like, I was not lying when I said he was gonna be as tall as the box itself. So yeah, you have a scenic base, of course. No spoiler there, but it is a monster-sized base, of course. Like the quality of this, like I don't know if I can zoom in, but there is some human remains, like some skeletons and stuff. Like if you want to make a beautiful base with these Greek statues and maybe like showing that it was an ancient battlefield and stuff, it's gonna be amazing. And the most details, of course, are pointing where the giant, like the Talos, sorry, is looking, so your enemies will see that first at the feet of the Talos. Very cool little detail. I will take a little second to show the legs, actually, which are easier to see without the box behind. Yeah, the legs are a little bit, like we can see that it's artificial creature. I don't know if you can see, but there are some little veins or little, okay, I have not the English vocabulary to say that, but like, yeah, little technological things that are going out and that show that it was built rather than born, this thing. Yeah, I will not call it a Frankenstein or anything, but it is for sure like kind of like the giant that looms over the city, like it's stalwart defender. A little bit like, oh my god, I feel stupid forgetting the name of the city where there is literally a giant. It's one of the, oh my god, it's one of the 7 wonders of the world. You know, the giant that was over the port entrance of the city. If you remember it, please give us the name in the comment. Oh my god, I feel so stupid. forgetting it. The shield of the guy, really cool as well. There is supposed to be, oh my god, there is 2 shields, of course, because there is some alternate builds. You can either have him holding the shield on the ground, okay, or you can hold the shield normally. It does mean you're gonna have some extra bits anyway, so you can, of course, if you decide, like, put it on the base, gonna be a bit difficult, convert, make some terrains, maybe put the shield in the rear if you want to shield him like this, like double shield. Could work, could work. There are some ways to have fun with it. Well, while we are on the body, let's have a look at the torso itself. This is where you can see the most that it's like an artificial creature, and yeah, it looks really cool with this. Gives me, this guy, it gives me a little bit, I don't know if you, like, I didn't see anybody saying this on the internet, but maybe I'm super wrong. It gives me not Thanos vibes, this I saw written everywhere, but it gives me Protoss vibes from StarCraft. I don't know if you see what I mean, with this kind of like long chains for the neural network. The shield could be a proto shield as well, and this ceremonial blade, like, I don't know, tell me if you think of painting your Talos like a Protoss. If you do, there is a theme to be made there for sure. We are nearing the end of the unboxing part, just a few bits that you will have to collect, and glue, of course, should be quite easy to make it hold. I will just show them to you. Like this is probably a shoulder or little piece of armor on the knee, for example, and this is for sure the arm, the left arm. Okay, we have some more stuff. You really need the instructions, because this, go guess what it's supposed to be with. Good luck with that. We have some flags, of course, to hold, and like it's supposed to be right there, you see. Okay, good texture as well. Like, this goes without saying by now, but the quality of the detailing from Parabellum is like not unrivaled, because we still have Games Workshop, but wow, look at this. Like, I mean, level quality of this, like, you will for sure be able to have an insane looking guy on the table. Interesting part, we have 3 heads. So head number 1, full helmet. Head number 2, the one from the artwork, kind of like the Thanos head. And, well, is it another fully helmeted? Yeah, okay, I see what it means. This is helmeted version, unhelmeted version, and this is actually just an extra bit empty, so that if you build him with the unhelmeted version, you can just have this, like, do we see the pose there? Absolutely not. Yeah, the idea is, like, if you put him without the shield and without the helmet, you can just have him holding his helmet like this. Come on, tell me, doesn't it look like a Protoss? I think it does. And a few cables. There are quite a few cables going around, like all of those things. And yeah, you just need to connect from one technological protuberance to the other. And yeah, a little bit of flash, but as always, like, it's quite little, and you can just clean by hand basically. Okay, this is going to be the miniature of Yasan from Yes Miniature, that you see playing on the channel quite a few times. As I record this video, we are going to play 2 more, and I think he's going to bring his city-states or Sorcerer Kings, we'll see. Anyway, I'm quite sad that I don't collect myself a large-scale city-states army, because, well, oh my god, it would be insane. Like, I have many ideas of conversions for this guy that will not see the light of the day, unfortunately. But yeah, it really makes me want to start a full-scale city-states army, and not just for First Blood, which is what I'm doing. Okay, well, this was it for the unboxing. We said it was going to be fast, because it's, in the end, even if it's insanely detailed and huge, it's still just one miniature. So what we're going to do, we're going to go on the application to see the data sheet of this guy. As always, remember, on the card, you can just beep this QR code and go to find the up-to-date rules. So we'll first start with Last Arguments of King, but wait until the end, where there is also going to be for First Blood. And if you leave us there, remember to leave us a little comment, because, well, first of all, it helps us, same as thumbs up, subscribing, everything. But comments are extra benefits for you, because every time you leave a comment on a different video, you gain a chance to gain a ticket to win an entire fleet sent directly to your home. So good luck if you do that, and without further ado, let's go for the Tactica. Okay, so how to actually play the Talos Titan, either for the Last Argument of Kings or for First Blood. I'm gonna start with the Last Argument of King, because that's what we have been doing for a while, and it is still, for now, the most popular game. I believe that First Blood will get more and more popular with time. So for the Lost Tournament of King, we're gonna have a look at the army list of the 20th of May, and for First Blood, the 1st of June. So they were quite similar, quite recent, but there might be an update during the autumn, so be careful about that. So the Titan, there is a lot of things to say. I will move my head somewhere there. And as you can see, there are a lot of rules. The first thing that I will say is that the Talos is a monster, obviously. It's heavy, so it arrives at turn 3 at the earliest. And there are 3 characters that can take him: the Mechanist, the Polemarch, and the Aristarch. So the 3 infantry character. The Brute Eidolon or the Cavalry Ipatork, something like this, cannot take him, and is always going to be restricted. So you cannot just spam him, obviously, and he's at 250 points, so you probably wouldn't want to do that anyway. 250 points. What does it bring you? It brings you 20 wounds, so respectable, very respectable. Even better when you consider his defense 3 with a shield, so defense 4 from the front, and resolve 4. So that's a tough guy, like it's really tough. Movement 7, which is great, like I mean, I played Waylon, so movement 7 is insane for me. But yeah, movement 7 is good. Clash 3, so it's going to be Clash 4 most of the time, which is very good, like really up there. 13 attacks. That's a lot. And yeah, that's just great. He has Cleave 1, so those 13 attacks at Clash 4 are gonna do quite some damage, except against few enemies with Ardent. Talking about Ardent, he has Ardent 2, which now we start to see that he's a really, really tough guy. Like defense 4, resolve 4, 20 wounds, Ardent 2. I mean, even as a Dwagom, I'm a bit jealous. Like, I have to admit. He's Terrifying 1 as well, so even more morale damage. And when he charges, if he charges, he has Impact 6, which is a nice little bonus. He doesn't absolutely need his charge to do all his damage, but Impact 6 can be a few wounds here and there, always nice. And the thing that makes him even better, because I said that he was heavy, so he arrives turn 3, he has Flank, which means that he automatically arrives turn 3 at the earliest, but probably at the latest, because you will bring him as soon as he's available. So this guy will come turn 3. You don't need to roll for him, like he just pops up, which is amazing. Because this guy, 250 points, you would want him to arrive as early as you can. So just from the raw stat lines, it's a great guy. 250 points for all of this, high defense, Harden 2, Resolve 4, Terrifying, Cleave 1, 13 attacks, high clash, great movement. Why wouldn't you take him? Maybe because he's 130 euros or dollars. Yeah, probably yes, but look at the miniature. It looks so good. Like, this is, my opinion, so far, this is the best miniature of the entire City States roster. It looks amazing. I'm not a big fan of the Thanos purple skin, but if you give him any other color, I'm pretty sure he would look amazing. Now, there are 2 other things that we need to talk about. He has some extra fancy rules that are nice, and he has, and this is a big thing, he can take some bonus capacities for 10 points, and this really brings a lot of utility. I had Yasan, that you have seen in the battle report recently, and who plays City States, telling me that it feels like you need the Talos to be able to play some lists in the City State, because he unlocks some gameplay. So on top of these amazing stats that we just talked about, he unlocks a whole gameplay for City States that we'll talk about. But first, let's have a look at, for example, Descendant of the Brazen Race. This rule means that it never suffers any effect of Aura of Death or Decay. That is very sad for Spire players, which like to inflict decay on people and suffer decay as well. It's very sad for my Berserkers, for example. Lots of races, for example, the Old Dominion, also like to have crazy Aura of Death. Well, this guy is just literally immune. So you throw this guy at Bone Golems, he's like extremely fine. Or these Praetorians with a banner and everything, he just doesn't care. So it's a hard counter to this. Just for this rule, if you play against Old Dominion, and I know in Paris we have a lot of Old Dominion players, we literally played a tournament recently of 12 players, there were like 5 Old Dominion players. If you play against this type of faction often, this guy is an auto-include, just for this immunity to the Aura of Death. And also it counts as 6 stands for seizing objectives, and it does not suffer for lethal demise. So for example, end of August, where I'm gonna receive my very happy like Magma Forge with Aura of Death and lethal demise, well, this guy just ignores everything. So yeah, he's very hard countered for many things, just for this role, on top of everything else that he brings. He also has Blood of the Forge God, which means that friendly spellcaster with priest, there are a few in the city-states. We remember that giants, like Titans, Titans do have priest, for example. Well, they gain +1 to their priest capacity, and it may stack with everything. We will see that the Talos really brings a full Titan gameplay to the table, and having priest +1 is just the first cherry on a very large cake. This is just rules that you have all the time. Great. You also have two options, and you can take only one, but it will really orient your list very much. First of all, you have the Mask of Ares, which means, and this is a big one, for 10 points, so you're going to be 260 points, any monster regiment within 8 inches of this guy, okay, so quite close, that declares a charge, gain Unstoppable, so you can reroll your charges. That is great. I don't know what else to say, then this is exactly what the monsters of the city-states were missing, Unstoppable. We still cannot give it to the Minotaurs, unfortunately. I know we have some city-states players that are very sad that they don't have access to any way of bringing Unstoppable to their Minotaurs. But still, giving it to all the Titans, the Hephaestians, the Prometheans and everything, you can really put a whole list of Titans, and everybody's gonna have Unstoppable around the Talos, which is gonna be at the center, and they're gonna have Priest +1, so they're quite difficult to launch spells, are gonna be launched easier. Like, I'm not gonna say much easier, but it's gonna be a good boost. So that if you want to play full Titans, the Talos is absolutely needed. You can even bring him twice if you want to make a 2000 points list, and literally brings like minimum sized unit and only Titans. That could work. There is another way to play, because for example, I am not a big fan of full Titan lists, but for example, you like the city-states infantry, the hoplites, the algemas and everything. Then you can take the other option, the Helm of Nike, which is the other name of the goddess Athena, and then all infantry regiments within 8 inches, same range, gain impact +1, and that is amazing. Like, your guys that are usually not a big threat, your Algemas and your Thrakites and everything, like your Satyrs as well, that are quite fast, can engage fast, but usually don't have much punch. Well, then those guys getting impact +1 is quite good, like, because you're gonna have a lot of infantry, and then you basically become Nords, just because there is this guy, this Talos, that is a brute, like in the sense, like, that brings a lot of utility to the table, and on top of that, your infantry become Nords, just having impact 1 everywhere. Very efficient. So it depends on your list. Full Titans, or if you have at least 2 other Titans, I would take the Mask of Ares, and if you just bring this guy as a single Titan in the middle of your infantry list, Helm of Nike is going to be great. And now we go to the first blood part of the Talos, and well, it's interesting. There are many things in common and some differences. The first difference that you're going to see is that it was 1/8 of your list in Lost Argument of Kings if you played 2000. Here in First Blood, because it's a smaller scale, obviously, it's going to be half of your list. So really not the same deal. It's 440 points, while the average game is supposed to be at 1000. So yeah, that's a lot of points, but damn, what does it bring you? He has a little bit less attacks. He goes from 13 to 10. Less wounds as well. He goes from 20 to 16. Okay. And he has a few different rules. He has a little bit less impact. That is fine. Alden 2. Okay. He gains more cleave. Actually, more cleave. So yeah, he punches a little bit harder. Less attacks, but cleave 2. That is really great. And his impact 5 gain brutal impact 1. So he wants a bit more to be impacting, because now it starts to be like brutal impact 1 is great. Still has terrifying 1. He still has shield, but in First Blood the shield works all the time. Like, there is no depending on where you face, so he's always gonna be basically at defense 4, which is insane. Defense 4, resolve 4, harden 2. I don't know. We've seen the recent battle report Titan Slayer, where it was difficult to deal with a Hephaestian that had just hardened 1. Well, this guy, which has high defense and hardened 2, I have no idea how to deal with him. Like, this guy in First Blood is gonna be a mess. Like, yes, you have half your list in this, but it's just gonna be such a power multiplier, because he also has Resonance Amplifier, which is another name. So we get a little bit of more fluff and about the unit if we play both games, because then we understand from the name of the rules what is supposed to be And the resonance amplifier is a very funky rule, which means that if there is a spellcaster that made a spell earlier this round, so you don't need to not activate this guy first, which sometimes might be a little bit difficult, but it's tough, you can handle it. If a spellcaster made a spell, he can make, before his first action, exactly the same spell with the minimum level of success required. Just for free, like the same spell, second time, free. That is incredibly good. Like if I tell you this, I don't need to explain to you how good it is to have a free spell action automatically succeed, no interference, no nothing, and then he just sends it himself. How good is that? Like, you will need to have a source of spellcasting in your army, either a character that can spellcast, either some units. We have a few priests and stuff in the City-States army, but just this is insanely good. The Talos in Love Wargames of King is a force multiplier and is a very good linchpin. The Talos in First Blood is #1 menace on your list for sure, and it's just such a great unit. So that's already really good. And then he has another list rule, which is with me. It means that when the Talos is in range of an objective zone, then other units around can use the Talos resolve characteristic of 4, which is really, really good, to make a morale test. That is great. And they don't say unbroken, because usually when you have a character in either Last Wargames of King or First Blood, when you have a character in your regiment, if you're broken, you stop taking the characteristic resolve of the character. Here, it doesn't say that. So even if your regiment is broken, you can still use the resolve of the Talos. Great, great. What more can I say? Resolve 4 is one of the best. Like, 5 would be perfect, but 4 is incredibly good. So, of course, this is really, really great. He has 3 commands that he can send as if you were a character. So we know command, like he needs to be in the command range, etc. Kind of like if you were your main character. And what can he send as commands? The first one is going to be follow. It just basically you target a regiment in your command range, and it's +1 march. Great. Great, especially when we consider that in the new edition of First Blood, the march characteristic is incredibly important. You've seen this, we've talked about it. It's entirely a game of threat ranges now. There is a world of difference between March 5 and March 6, and March 6 and March 7. Because when you have higher movement than an enemy, you just finish your activation, etc. at exactly the range that you will need to charge, because charge is automatically just your movement now. And so you stay at 6 inches, for example, if you're movement 6, and the enemy is movement 5, and then you're like, okay, if you want to come to me, you have to make a move charge, and you cannot do anything. And when I activate, I'm going to punch you. And if I activate first, movement 6, I can charge you and punch you. So it is extremely important movement now. And having just the threat of saying like, okay, I am movement 6, you're movement 7, alright. But remember that I have a Talos next. And if I activate him first, maybe I'm going to give a boost to my guy, and then I'm going to be movement 7, and now I can reach you. Just having this Talos and this threat of him activating the follow command is going to make a lot of newts in your opponent's brain, because you're going to be like, yeah, okay, I'm supposed to have the initiative, but I want to activate this guy first, and then it means that maybe he will be able to reach me. So great, great force multiplier there. Another command that he has is hold your ground. Then it means that you take the regiment, everybody counts as 2 models for contesting an objective. This can make you win games, period. Like, if it's the difference between you owning an objective or the opponents, we know that in First Blood there are sometimes like 2 objectives. This can really make the battle switch in your favor. If you've already engaged, there is no more like, oh my god, I need to charge first, etc. You're in the melee. This can say like, okay, the melee is taking a while, I'm holding, he's holding, but I'm gonna be the one that captures the objectives, getting the points, and then winning the game. So huge, huge impact in the game there. And finally, if you don't have guys around you and you don't want either to give +1 march or to boost the regiment count, well, then it's you can just have second wind and you heal 3 wounds, which sounds like, yeah, sure, fine. 3 wounds on a guy that is defense 4, resolve 4, harden 2. This is gonna just make your opponent sad. Like, I have no other ways to say this. It is incredibly like demoralizing for your opponent to fight this guy, make 5 wounds after a lot of attacks, good defense roll from your side because it's going to be defense 4, result 4. It's going to be very, very hard to make like 5 or 6 wounds, and then you just heal half of it, despite your opponent sending like half his army on you. So that is a great capacity. If your opponent, like you plan to give, for example, follow command, but your opponent had initiative and made a charge, for example, first, and you don't know what to do, second wind, if you're even a little bit injured, is always good because you're always going to be able to at least heal a little bit. And just knowing, again, that you can heal will make your opponent think like, okay, I have this fire 4, I have some, I don't know, marksman and stuff. Do I shoot on the Talos? Is it really important because I'm not going to do a lot of damage, and maybe it's just going to heal? Maybe you didn't want to heal, maybe you wanted to use hold your ground or something. But just knowing that you can heal will make your opponent really doubt if he should shoot at your Talos. So that's great, and because then you get in contact and you have 10 attacks at cleave 2. If he ignores you, he's dead basically. But there is no good choice about the Talos. He's 440 points, again, that is huge, that is insane. Half your list. It's one of the most expensive monsters in the entire First Blood game, but he's absolutely worth it. He's 100% gonna polarize the game. It's gonna be a game like where he is, he's gonna dominate absolutely, and then your opponent is gonna dominate the rest of the battlefield probably, and then it's gonna end up with your opponent's army and your Talos with some support, and it's gonna be great. Is he auto-include in tournaments? I don't know. It depends on the like we didn't play enough of the new scenarios to check. He's great. Either in Last Arguments of King or in First Blood, he's a great character. And I'm gonna end on this. It really depends, like, do you like the model? Because 130 euros is very expensive for one model. Yes, it is gonna be massive, absolutely massive. It's gonna be a joy to paint. It's gonna look insane on the table. I can only say that he is good. He's not OP because he's very expensive every time. Maybe not expensive enough in Last Arguments of Kings, that's the only thing. In First Blood, it's literally half your list, so yeah, it can be strong. Is it too much? I'm not sure, but he's 100% playable. He's very strong. Too strong, maybe, but at least he's very strong. So you will never be upset of, oh my god, I brought a Talos, my list is weak now. No, not at all. He's a great force multiplier, even by himself he's great, and if you addition on top of this, everything that he brings, he's a great character. He's a great monster. Having him in your collection is great. If you buy him, do get the 10% from Loft 10 or another channel that you get, because 130 is quite a price. And having him at 115 is going to be nicer than 130, let's be honest. Alright, thank you for having watched until the end. Let us know what you think about the Talos. Is it great? How do you feel about the appearance? Because I love how it looks, but I know it can be quite polarizing. As always, if you give a comment, you may get a chance, like you will get a chance to gain either a Union or Covenant fleet for Dystopian Wars, and the tournament will be finished soon because we are only at 150 subscribers from finishing the contest, so it's going to be hopefully like during the autumn or the end of the summer. Share the video with your friends, give us a thumbs up, it always really helps, and until the next video, remember to keep things fair in love and war games. Bye!